Alphonse Maindo, TROPENBOS DRC Director, and Merci, TROPENBOS Ghana Director. With them, we will discuss about the contribution of traditional knowledge to forest sustainable management. Now, I think we have some questions to discuss with them. And after that, we have to give the floor to the audience to discuss, and we'll close our side event. Firstly, we would like you, Professor Alphonse Maindo and Dr. Merci, to introduce yourself to the audience, to introduce also your organization. I think I suggest you to introduce yourself in French, Professor Alphonse, and Merci in English. Thank you. Come on. Merci first. It's okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Charles. And then thank you, DRC and TROPENBOS, for organizing this session and inviting the TROPENBOS Ghana to be part of the panel. My name is Merci Owusu-Ansah. I work with TROPENBOS Ghana in West Africa, and I am a member. Our organization is a member of the TROPENBOS International Network. So in the network, there are other organizations. I have a sister in Africa, DRC, that is the Democratic Republic of Congo, so TROPENBOS DRC. And then I have other siblings in Latin America, Bolivia, and Suriname, and Colombia. And then I have 2 or 3 more siblings in Asia, Indonesia, Vietnam, and then Philippines is coming on board very soon. In Africa, beyond the DRC and Ghana, we are also implementing some projects with Uganda and Ethiopia. So the family is growing bigger and bigger. In TROPENBOS network, we believe in locally owned solutions. And that is where this particular conversation fits in very well, because you can't do locally owned solution without traditional and indigenous knowledge. In Ghana, we work around about 3 or 4 thematic areas. We work around forest landscape restoration, inclusive governance, responsible business and finance, independent forest monitoring, and then some small projects around restoration and mining areas. And we are very pleased to join our other organization, that is DRC today, to talk about how we are including traditional knowledge in the management of our forests and natural resources. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Merci beaucoup. Moi, je m'appelle Alphonse Maindo et je suis directeur de TROPENBOS RDC. Et TROPENBOS RDC, c'est une organisation de recherche et de développement sur les questions forestières et environnementales. Et cela fait quelques années que nous sommes actifs en RDC, et particulièrement dans les provinces forestières, notamment la Chopo, la Mongala, le Bazuélé. Avant, on était même en Ituri. Et donc, ça, c'est notre zone d'intervention. Et nous travaillons beaucoup avec les communautés locales en ce qui concerne la foresterie communautaire et la gestion donc, durable des forêts par les communautés. Et, donc, et avec ça aussi, nous travaillons sur la formalisation de l'exploitation artisanale du bois qui doit se faire dans les forêts des communautés. Et donc pour nous, la gestion durable de forêts communautaires est véritablement, la gestion durable des forêts tout court et en particulier des communautés est une question essentielle parce que nous pensons que les communautés ont des savoirs et des pratiques qui sont nécessaires à la protection et qui ont permis qu'on ait les forêts telles qu'on les a aujourd'hui. Et donc c'est pour ça que nous travaillons beaucoup sur ça. Et donc ces savoirs endogènes qui répondent à une épistémologie différente du savoir scientifique sont complémentaires, si vous voulez, et doivent s'intégrer avec les savoirs scientifiques pour permettre une meilleure gouvernance, une gouvernance plus inclusive et plus effective de nos forêts. Et c'est pour ça que cet événement est véritablement les bienvenus pour nous permettre de voir comment nous utilisons ces savoirs-là et nous essayons de les combiner avec les savoirs scientifiques. Merci.
Ok, parce que vous avez encore la parole et que vous avez parlé de savoirs endogènes et vous citez aussi les savoirs, donc les savoirs scientifiques. Alors, qu'est-ce que vous entendez par savoir endogène et qu'est-ce qui les différencie des autres systèmes de savoir? Oui.
Ok, bien. Merci beaucoup. Alors, les savoirs endogènes, en fait, c'est les savoirs qui sont générés localement par les communautés locales, par les peuples autochtones. C'est, si vous voulez, c'est des savoirs traditionnels qui obéissent à une épistémologie qui est donc une épistémologie de l'intuition, une épistémologie de l'expérience vécue et qui est basée sur les pratiques qui nous enseignent. En fait, c'est très expérimental comme source de savoir. Et donc, qui ne sont pas des savoirs qui sont importés, mais qui sont générés. Ça peut être le résultat de contact entre le monde extérieur et une communauté donnée qui produit ces savoirs-là. Et donc, ils n'obéissent pas à une épistémologie très rigoureuse avec des protocoles bien précis pour établir des relations, des causes à effet, et des hypothèses et tout ça qui sont vérifiées et vérifiables. C'est ça l'épistémologie des sciences, qui veut que tout ce qui est considéré comme savoir puisse faire l'objet d'une observation rigoureuse, systématique, et après qu'on puisse établir des lois qui sont généralisables et tout ça. Donc, il y a là une épistémologie différente de ce savoir locaux-là. Mais ces savoirs locaux, tout comme les mythes et autres, qui sont importants dans notre monde, ça permet de préserver. Vous voyez, la vision du monde, ce qu'on appelle la cosmogonie, c'est quelque chose d'important parce que ça vous permet d'avoir un rapport particulier au monde, au bien, à l'environnement. Et si on voit, par exemple, pour les communautés locales et les peuples autochtones avec lesquels on travaille, leur cosmogonie, c'est quoi? C'est que la nature, l'environnement, c'est une partie de l'homme. Et l'homme fait partie de l'environnement, fait partie de la nature. Et donc, de ce fait, si on détruit l'environnement, on détruit l'homme. Si on détruit l'homme, on détruit la nature. Et donc, cette manière, cette vision du monde, ça contribue à la préservation de la nature, puisque l'homme sait que si il détruit l'environnement, il se détruit lui-même. S'il détruit la nature, il se détruit lui-même. Et donc, si vous voulez, ce sont ces savoirs-là, si vous voulez, que nous essayons de mobiliser pour les combiner avec les savoirs scientifiques et qui, vous voyez, qui sont objectivés, où l'homme se met un peu en dessous, et les sujets connaissances se met à l'extérieur de l'objet des connaissances, et tandis que dans les savoirs locaux dont on parle ici, les sujets connaissants, il est lui-même l'objet de la connaissance. Il fait partie de la connaissance. Et donc, il y a ces éléments importants à souligner. Merci.
Okay, dear Merci, I don't know if you have something to add, because Alphonse said traditional knowledge are based on practices and also on some kind of belief that it is not necessarily based on a system, a kind of epistemology. And I don't know for you if you have something to add. What do you mean by traditional knowledge?
So since I didn't really get everything that Alphonse said, I will just add that traditional knowledge is gained through a lot of experiences over the years.
Yeah.
So some practices that are being done, some innovations in the communities, it can start with just an individual or a family. And then gradually, as results, very positive results are gained, then other people also pick up these kind of innovation and practices in the community. It is also associated with particular culture. So you can't really dissociate traditional knowledge from culture. It comes with the beliefs, the norms, and then also the ways that people, so especially in our traditional settings, the ways they do things, it spans from health, so medicine, and then it goes through agriculture. It's very, very, very typical, forestry, and then other aspects of life where traditional knowledge has been gained, and then also it is also applied. So that is the little that I will add to what Alphonse says, because I know he said a lot of things.
Okay. Yeah.
Exactly, but that's what I was just saying. I was saying that traditional knowledge are those based on experience people they are facing, on their belief, on their culture, and also their cosmogony, how they see the world, how they see the nature. And as I said that the humans, for instance, the community we are working with and the indigenous people, for them, they are part of the nature. They are not out of the nature. So when you believe that you are part of the nature, so you think that if you destroy the nature, you destroy yourself. If you kill the nature, you kill yourself. So that's why they preserve forests, so this indigenous knowledge are quite different from the scientific knowledge, because they are not based on the same epistemology. The epistemology of scientific knowledge is based on the fact that you have to objectivate the knowledge. So the producer of knowledge is out of the knowledge and is looking it from outside, watching there and making kind of rules, I would say, systematizing this knowledge and making a general, let's say, observation that can apply to different places. But these indigenous knowledge, traditional knowledge, are quite, let's say, relative to one species. And when you move from this one to another one, you find other knowledges there. You cannot. I mean, the main challenge is how to scale this knowledge from one place to another one. That's what I was saying. And you actually, I'm very happy that we are on the same line on this subject. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Dear Merci, I wanted to know, because TROPENBOS Ghana, like TROPENBOS International Network, you are working on forest governance. But here we are talking about traditional knowledge. How do you mobilize this traditional knowledge in your work to improve forest management?
As I mentioned earlier on, as a network, we believe that locally owned solution is very critical when it comes to forest and natural resource management. And you couldn't really put locally led solutions without any traditional knowledge. You mentioned specifically inclusive governance. Traditionally, there are governance systems in our communities. So there is the governance system where everybody respects and everybody is very familiar with. So for example, when we are doing our community entry, we don't just go and then start talking to people. We need to respect these governance structures that are in place in the communities, because that is where we receive buy-in. That is where we receive the commitment from our local communities. For example, in Ghana, you couldn't do anything in a community without first talking to the traditional authorities. So that traditional system and institution is there. You really need to adhere to some traditional norms and beliefs. There are taboo days that are set in the communities. So those days, traditionally, people are not supposed to go to the farm, and then they are also supposed to use that also to do their sanitation and also clean their communities. So we capture on those days, and then also have a lot of the communities hearing what we are bringing into the community. And there are some bylaws about what to do and what not to do. So as an organization, we also ensure that now, because we are looking at forest management, they also have their own traditional systems about how they are conserving forests. There are some areas that have been set up as ritual areas, sacred groves, and all that. And these are for sustainable reasons. So sacred groves, people are not supposed to enter there for some reasons. Whatever the reasons are, there are some beliefs, and then people respect those beliefs. But I want to say that not entering the sacred grove is also a way of protection and then also conservation of biodiversity and then forests and forest resources. These groves are very rich with diverse species, both fauna and flora. And that is what, as TROPENBOS, we are asking people to conserve. So very much so, traditional knowledge is really very linked to TROPENBOS International's program, and then also as TROPENBOS Ghana, where we are saying that we need to protect, conserve, and then also sustainably manage our forests and forest resources. Some of these beliefs, some of these norms, some of these bylaws, and then some of these customs are very much linked to what we do as an organization in Ghana and also as a network.
Okay, thank you. Something to add about how TROPENBOS DRC mobilizing traditional knowledge in its wake?
Yes, I think we actually we mobilize traditional knowledge in different ways. As Mercy was saying, one is about the traditional, I would say, land use plans. They have spaces. They say this place is allocated, for instance, for cultural practices, like for ritual practices. They would say where there is a kind of initiation, people will go there, but only initiated people can access to this forest. And this forest is used for this kind of conservation, so you cannot go there. But you have also some things like bans. They would say, you cannot cut this kind of tree, you cannot harvest this kind of natural resources, and this contributes to reduce pressure on some species that might have a very high value for the community and for the health, for the wealth of the community. And we also know that they have their own calendar of harvesting natural resources within the forest. So they would say in such period we will harvest this kind of product, and the other one we will harvest. But we also have another knowledge. We say it's about how to harvest. For instance, the indigenous people, they would say when you go to harvest, for instance, the honey in the wild honey, you don't take all the honey you find within the place. You take part and you leave part. But when you leave part, it will allow the bees to come again and recolonize the space. So you see, these are the knowledge. And now today, with the scientific knowledge, we know that it's necessary to have these kind of things so that they will attract bears to come again in these places. I would say also the other knowledge we use, and that's contribute to sustainable forest management, is this diversified production systems. they never make a monoculture activities. They would not mainly grow cassava or banana in a farm. They used to mix different species, different crops in a farm. And this allow not only keeping the biodiversity of the species, but also it contributes to the resilience of the community. Because if you rely only on one crops, if there is an issue, drought or flood, you will lose, let's say, the harvest. You cannot harvest, then you will be you may face hunger, all these kind of things. But when you mix many culture in one farm, so you are a bit sure that if one fails, the other one will succeed. Then you have a kind of a resilience. So we use this knowledge to make sure that they support what we are making in terms of agroforestry, but in terms also of conservation, and we are very happy to work closely with them. Thank you.
Okay. Just add one more thing. I'm adding that because of our programs that we are doing around wildfire. Yes, wildfire management. So there is an aspect of traditional knowledge also when it comes to wildfire management. Traditionally, in some communities in Ghana, until there has been a fire ritual, nobody can, go to the farm and burn. So that should happen before people can start burning. Why do they do so? They do that so that people will not haphazardly go to their farm, do the land preparation, and then start burning anyhow. So you have to wait for that ritual to be performed before everybody now, it is allowed that if you want to do the burning, then you can do that. Besides that, there are also some traditional bylaws about how to set fire on the farm. So all these things add to the conservation of biodiversity and then protection of forests that is leading to sustainable forest management. So you look at it that by and large, several of the things that we are doing as a network, as TROPENBOS, DRC, Ghana, and then our other siblings in the other continents, they are all, packed within the traditional knowledge system in one way or the other.
Yeah. But I would like also to add one point before we move forward about forest regeneration. According to communities and indigenous people we are working with, they have their own way of letting forests regenerate. So when they cultivate in a space, after one or two harvests, they would move there to go to another place, and they would let the forest regenerate at least 20 or 25 years. That was in the past, but now they let the fallows, let's say, regenerate. And this is a sustainable way of letting forests refresh and regenerate. And we can use this one because now people have been reducing the length of the fallow. They would say 3, 5, 2 years, and it's not enough for the forest to come back. And these ones, I think, we should rely on the communities because they have this intuitive knowledge of knowing that forests need to regenerate and let it naturally regenerate. So I think it's important to raise this point. But maybe I'm anticipating there are still some challenges today about using this traditional knowledge. Okay.
Yeah, okay, because it would be my next question. I want to begin with Merci, talking about challenges in mobilizing traditional knowledge in sustainable forest management.
Yeah, so of course, Alphonse already went a bit faster to start talking about challenges. So it comes with several challenges, unfortunately. Because it is not backed by, science, so data analysis and all that, sometimes it's very difficult to be accepted widely by people. So that is one of the challenges. The other one that is coming very strongly is the fact that some of the rituals, some of the festivals and beliefs are not being done as strong as it used to be. So people have gotten some other beliefs, and for that reason, some of these things are not held as they used to be. So you tell people that don't go to the farm on Tuesday, and then somebody will try to go, and then nothing happens. So people will start flouting that particular taboo of not going to the farm on Tuesdays because Alphonse went and nothing happened to him. So why can't I go? So it is now. And then the fact that there has been a lot of interference from outside. So our traditional systems are being opened now to outside influence. And these outside influence are bringing in new discoveries and new knowledge and other things that is reducing some of the bylaws, and then also reducing the how people held up our traditional knowledge and then also our traditional systems. The other challenge that we are facing is how this knowledge is passed on from one generation to the other. And the youth and the children are not getting the same knowledge passed on from our ancestors to them because of several things. One of them is, of course, our mobile phones and all that. People would like to go on the mobile phones than to listen to some of these traditional stories, than to listen to some of these traditional songs. I remember in Ghana, in the evening, that is where some of this knowledge is translated to the youth, where they gather around the family fire, and then their parents and their grandparents are telling them stories, are telling them about, the traditional systems and all that. So passing it on from one generation to the other. Unfortunately, that has been a challenge now, passing the knowledge on to the youth. But those are some of the challenges that I see. The last one that I will add before Alphonse comes in is the fact that there is a lot of dilution. So dilution in various ways. People would like to check whether what they are believing is true. And then where will they go? They will go on Google Map. And that information may not be available. So, of course, then they will not really accept it wholly as it used to be. So these are some of the challenges that we are facing. There are issues about documentation, but I will leave the rest to Alphonse about documentation and other things.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mercy. You almost capture the main challenging that we are facing using this traditional knowledge. Building on what you just said, I would say one of the main challenge is the development of the scientific knowledge, because the scientific knowledge is trying to devalue this traditional knowledge and also putting a kind of shame on it, saying no, this is not a value-based knowledge. So the scientific knowledge has this pretension of having the monopoly of knowledge, saying if you have scientific knowledge, then you have the knowledge itself. So, and then the other knowledge, the other ways of reaching the knowledge are actually facing a kind of devaluation because of this scientific knowledge. But as you said, you have also the traditional, let's say, I would say the mechanism of transmission of this traditional knowledge. They are now weakened. They are so weakened. If you look, and what are these mechanisms? You said in the evening people they would meet, and you also have this the custodians of this knowledge. Now the people, the young generation, they see them like, let's say, very, they're no longer good people. We cannot rely on them. They see them, yeah, with kind of shame and pity. So they don't mind, they don't care about these people. So they lose their influence within the community. And this loss of the influence of this mechanism and also the custodians of traditions is also due to I would say, the Western education we got. So when we go to the school, we are taught to prefer this Western knowledge through the books, the experience we get at school, and then the other knowledge we got from our grandmothers, our grandfathers, we then say, no, this is not long valid. And also you mentioned the belief coming from other sides. This let's say, I would say, this universal religion, so-called the Christianism or Muslim, they come and they say that the traditional beliefs are no longer valid, and sometimes they even say that they are satanic. So you should not use them because it's not good. So this contribute to challenge the traditional knowledge. But I would also say what make this knowledge strong in the past was the homogeneity of the community, because you share the same culture, you share the same belief. But when you have this mixed between people coming there from here, from there, they mix, and you have also this mixed marriage. You have also urbanization. People, they meet in the cities. This belief, this knowledge no longer works, because what is valuable in my community is not valuable in their community. So this mixity is actually challenging this knowledge. And the system of sanctions, you raise it. In the past, there were this system of sanctions. If you break one of these rules or beliefs, you would face such a sanction. For instance, you would die, or you would you would become blind, or this kind of thing, or you would see your finger change like this. So, but now, but someone from another community who does not believe to these things, he can break these rules and nothing happening to him. So even within the community, people starts questioning the belief, say, no, it's not true, because we see that, the people there, they didn't respect it, but nothing happened to them. So then it reduced the impact of this traditional knowledge. So I think now what we have to do is to rethink this traditional knowledge and try to document this traditional knowledge and see where in different community how we can value them and integrate them to I would say to the scientific knowledge, and then bring them together, because we see that there are some of them which are still working. For instance, within the community we are working with in regard to health care. When you break your arm or your leg, they are more effective than the modern medicine in taking care of this kind of situation. So we can then have a kind of integration between the physicians, the doctor, the modern doctors with the traditional ones, to mix their knowledge so that we can improve the way of taking care of the people when they so we can have many examples, including in the forestry, we can use this. But to achieve this one, we need first, especially we as scientists, to acknowledge, to recognize that this traditional knowledge, indigenous knowledge, is also valid as the scientific one. Otherwise, we cannot talk each other. Because if you want to talk each to other, you want to dialogue, you want to cooperate, you need to recognize the other part as being also valuable as you. Otherwise, you will fail. Yeah, that's what I would say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Normally, this would be my last question, but I see with your answers, it comes more interesting, and I wanted to add perhaps 14 questions, but I see the audience. Can't allow me to do this. Reason why I give them the floor if they have something to comment or some question. It will help us. Yeah. One question.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so you have been highlighting on the scientific knowledge, so and also the traditional knowledge. So I would like to know, like, so currently in our status, especially if we want to promote the traditional knowledge, so which group of people do you think will be ready to upscale it? And then it needs more evidence. So I'll be happy if you can throw more light on this, like in order for us to upscale this traditional knowledge. Because as you already rightly said, the scientists, it's difficult for them to accept. So what can they, which group of people should work hard to upscale this thing? Yeah, thank you.
Okay, another question? Another question or comment? Okay.
Let me attempt, and then Alphonse will continue.
Yeah.
So, of course, when we were trying to describe traditional knowledge, one of the things that we said was that it is very unique to the culture of a group of people. So it is what they believe, and then it becomes part of their life, and then that is how they do their things. Once some of these things have been tested and tried and practiced, and then it is yielding results, then of course the scaling starts from there. When people have realized that the practices and then the norms and then whatever is described as traditional knowledge is yielding very positive, so very positive results, then of course the scaling starts. So for example, when people have seen that traditional systems are very useful in governance, and then people have tested and have also proven very positive, then of course other people can also use that as part of their governance system. When people have also done agriculture in a certain way, it could be as simple as how crops are spaced, how and when crops are grown. So this can be traditional knowledge. But when it becomes successful, then of course the next community will also take some lessons from there and then put it to test. So gradually it will be scaling from the original community to the next one and then to the other one. Now you are talking about scaling in a very large way like science. That is still a challenge, but there is also a way out, especially when we mix the traditional knowledge with scientific knowledge. So you see that a lot of social research are mostly skewed towards the anthropological, but also they try to do that kind of mix so that it combines both the science and then also the tradition. So these are some of the ways that you could use to upscale the traditional knowledge and then the traditional practices.
Yes, thank you very much, Mercy. I think you really raise the critical issue about this question of upscaling the traditional knowledge to a more large public for more large cases, and I would say that the question is how to reproduce the context where we can apply the knowledge that are linked to a specific area, and which are also part of kind of a culture. Because if you share the same culture, then you can practice these things. But there are some of others knowledges which can go beyond this cultural aspect. That's what we saw with, for instance, conservation practices. We have now evidence-based knowledge combining scientific knowledge and traditional knowledge. For instance, now we know that the traditional authorities, traditional communities, they have been more effective in conservation of biodiversity. We have this evidence from Latin America with indigenous people. We know that conservation by these communities is more effective than the classic conservation with the state, the government, and institutions. Because these people, they have why these practices of conservation is more effective. Because, as I said, it's linked to their vision of the world. It's linked to their cosmogony. They believe that nature is the whole, and they are only a small part of this nature. So, if you want to preserve your own life, you have to preserve the nature. So, I think it's very important. And we see also in the landscape where we are working in Bafoussam, early this year, there was a study that was conducted by our colleagues from the Faculty of Science. So the so-called hard science. They went in the community where we are working to study the biodiversity. So they documented the biodiversity in this area. They realized that there were differences in terms of biodiversity conservation within the communities. In the Bantu communities, the biodiversity was lower than in the indigenous community area. So that's evidence-based. So they documented. They count the number of species living there and the density of species, and they make the comparison. And for them, it was clear that within the indigenous community, indigenous people areas, the biodiversity was higher than in the Bantus. And this is true because the Bantus and the indigenous people, they don't have the same way, they don't have the same relationship with the nature. The Bantu, they are developing more market-driven activities with the forest. They are harvesting so much and they are selling to the market. And the indigenous people, they have another relationship. For them, they are harvesting just what they need for their subsistence. And then it results in fact in more conservation than in the other part. So this is actually evidence. So we can try to scale this in other places. And I think the anthropologists, they have been actually in front line for this in this specific area, because they give us evidence that if you can use a scientific knowledge for specific communities and try from this to make a kind of a knowledge that can be used in other places, though it is actually very locally focused. It can at least teach people, the other people, they can at least learn from this particular knowledge. I think that's what I can add on what Mercy focused on. Yeah, thank you.
Ok, merci beaucoup. En fait, nous sommes en train de parler de savoir traditionnels, le savoir endogène, comment est-ce que ces savoirs peuvent être mobilisés pour la gestion durable des forêts. Et ici, on nous partage les expériences de TROPENBOS RDC et de TROPENBOS Ghana, qui sont les deux organisations membres du réseau TROPENBOS international. Et on nous a présenté ici les savoirs endogènes comme étant donc les systèmes de savoir qui sont basés sur le système de croyances, sur les habitudes, sur les cultures de peuple. Et aussi ces savoirs qui ont leur propre épistémologie, qui répondent à leur propre logique, et que ces savoirs ont l'avantage de pouvoir faciliter la gestion durable de forêts ou la gestion durable de toutes les ressources naturelles, parce que c'est basé sur les réalités locales. Et ici, TROPENBOS Ghana et TROPENBOS RDC nous ont présenté comment est-ce qu'ils essayent de capitaliser ces savoirs dans leurs interventions, notamment en ce qui concerne l'aménagement forestier ou l'utilisation donc l'élaboration des plans d'utilisation des terres, où les forêts sacrées et d'autres espaces sacrés sont capitalisés comme étant des zones de conservation, et aussi les différentes relations que les communautés ont avec les forêts et aussi avec leur environnement. Alors, bien que ces savoirs présentent beaucoup d'avantages, mais il y a aussi beaucoup de défis qui vont avec, notamment en ce qui concerne leur caractère qui est lié à une zone spécifique, qui ne peuvent pas facilement être transportés ou amenés à d'autres milieux, mais aussi les rapports de ces connaissances traditionnelles par rapport aux connaissances scientifiques qui sont basées sur l'éducation occidentale que nous avons reçue, où on considère ces savoirs comme étant inférieurs, les savoirs endogènes comme étant inférieurs à d'autres, donc au savoir scientifique qui est basé sur les principes de vérifiabilité et autres. Mais aussi un autre élément, ce sont le système des religions universelles qui essayent un peu de considérer ces savoirs endogènes comme étant inférieurs, comme étant basés sur ne répondant pas à la voix de Dieu, entre guillemets, et on les considère même comme des savoirs diaboliques ou sataniques, ainsi de suite. Et maintenant, on est en train de discuter. Sentez-vous à l'aise. Si vous avez une question par rapport à l'expérience, vous pouvez poser en français ou en anglais. Sentez-vous à l'aise. On tend vers la fin de notre événement. Si vous avez une question, si vous avez un commentaire à faire, sentez-vous à l'aise. One comment? Yeah. On my side, I wanted to know, because we are talking about traditional knowledge, and also we talk about a challenge. One thing is about our consideration on gender relationship, because a lot of time we see that in local communities there is not a good consideration about women in decision-making spaces. Yeah, but I want to understand in your own experience, TROPENBOS DRC, in your own experience, TROPENBOS Ghana, how do you manage with this situation in which traditional knowledge or traditional situation is not comfortable for the woman to participate to decision making?
Yeah, so you have raised a very important point when it comes to traditional knowledge and then traditional systems and then the role of gender. So in many African countries, including Ghana, women are not given as much space as men when it comes to decision making, especially in traditional settings. But fortunately, even when they are and stooling the chiefs, they also have the queens. So you see that already in the traditional institution. There is the recognizing that the women also have a place. That is why there is always the queen. Ironically, in Ghana, it is the queen that even chooses the king. So it gives the woman even more power than the man, because if the queen does not choose you as a king, then of course you are not going to be a king. But as I said, fortunately, there are some changes that are coming up now through some of the queens, and then also through some women organizations that we form, with the permission from the traditional institution, of course, because you can't bypass them to form some of these women associations or women groupings. So with their blessings, we are able to make contact with the women. In all the traditional settings, I think the reason why the women have not been given the space is the numerous work and tasks that is always in their hands. From morning to evening, they are always busy, trying to fix things for the family, for the children, for the husband. But looking at a very good time and then engaging them, then they are available to add to some of these traditions. They have their own, traditional knowledge. And especially it is aligned to their task. So for example, when it comes to issues about water, they will tell you that there is a way of fetching the water so that it doesn't become muddy. They have their way of doing their things, so that they also have installed some of these traditional knowledge. The food that they use and harvest, they have their own harvesting system to ensure that as they harvest in a sustainable way. They know the length at which they will cut a particular species so that it will coppice and will not die. They know how to harvest in such a way that in a specific time, when they go back on that particular tree again, on that particular shrub again, they will find another fruit there because of the way they harvested it. So they also have a storage of traditional knowledge. And even though formally they were not given the space to share, through some discussions and then also through permission from their male counterparts, it is becoming easy to get them also involved.
Okay, thank you. Apparemment, on peut considérer que les femmes et les jeunes ne sont vraiment pas dans les processus de décision, sont exclus. Et si on regarde comment les mécanismes de prise de décision sont mis en place. Donc, c'est pour ça qu'il faut bien regarder chaque mécanisme de prise de décision. Dans les démocraties modernes et tout ça, il y a des mécanismes qu'on connaît de prise de décision. Mais moi, j'ai une formation de sciences politiques. Et une formation de sciences politiques me donne aussi l'avantage d'aller au-delà des apparences, des mécanismes formels de prise de décision. Parce qu'il y a aussi des mécanismes informels de prise de décision et qui peuvent parfois être beaucoup plus efficaces que les mécanismes formels. Lorsqu'on regarde les groupes de pression, les lobbies, qui décident effectivement, les plus grandes décisions ne se prennent pas sous la place publique. Ce n'est pas lorsque les gens se réunissent, par exemple ici à la COP, que les décisions sont prises, mais en réalité, c'est les négociations en coulisses entre les parties prenantes ici qui décident des grandes affaires. Et qu'est-ce qu'on observe en réalité? C'est que généralement, il y a même un adage chez moi qui dit, lorsque vous voyez un homme afficher une grande décision le matin comme ça sur la place publique, c'est que c'est la dame qui a décidé ça la nuit. Et c'est pour ça d'ailleurs que les messieurs vont vous dire laissez-moi, la nuit porte conseil. Et je vais aller réfléchir. Mais en réalité, la nuit porte conseil, c'est la femme qui porte conseil. So I was just trying to say this one. I have a background in political science. So if we want to better understand the decision-making process within the local communities, we need to go beyond what is appearing when we are seeing the communities. because in the formal decision-making process, you see that the men and the old people, the elders, they are dominating. But beyond these ones, you have people who might be even more influential than the one who are appearing in the front line, and especially the women. And I say that in my community, they used to say when a man comes in the morning making a great decision, usually it has been taken during the night by the woman. And they say, and the men, the wise men, the elders, when they want to decide, they say, please let me sleep because the night's advice. But the night is the wife who's going to give the advice to say what you should take as decision in the morning. So and even in the modern societies, the big decisions within the government, they are not taken during this formal meeting of the government. You have only sometimes few advisors who are more influential, who will tell the president, who will tell the minister, you should go this way and that, not that way. So the other minister, they don't actually participate to this decision. So I think it's most important to try to see who are the people who are most influential in the society. Sometimes it might be the queen mom. Sometimes it might be, I don't know who else, who's very influential in this thing. So we need to actually balance what we are used to in terms of seeing what is formal there and try to go beyond formal and see what are the real effective decision-making processes. But going back to the formal ones, I would say, for instance, in what we are doing, even in these communities, you have women leading. We have, in the past also, we had the queen leading communities, not only making the regency, but also leading for decades. And we even have, for instance, in DRC, you have this lady called Kimpa Vita. She has been there trying to heal the kingdom of Congo that was collapsing. And she's now known as one of the most influential people trying to restore this kingdom. But the men failed, and this lady comes and tries to restore this kingdom. So it's actually important to go beyond these things. And now I see that in the communities we are organizing, and when we organize elections, we see that women can be elected in these governing bodies. Within the local management committees, we have 41% of women leading these committees under community forest management. And if you look to the all different entities, governing entities, you include local management committees, you include general community assembly, you include the elders committees, all these entities we have within the community we are supporting. We have 23 women leading. They are in, let's say, powerful positions. So this is formal. But if I add informal, then it might be more important. So that's what I would like to raise here.
Yeah, I will just add some few words. Yeah, so typically in Ghana, when decisions are made and then we reach very difficult situation, even if it is men that are gathered, the last thing they will say is that, okay, so let's go and ask the old woman. So it really tells you that the old woman is the one who has the final decision. So they will adjourn, and then of course they will consult before they come back again and then make the final decision. So very typically, let's go and ask the old woman. And there is always an old woman in the house who will be consulted. There is the old man is there, but we are going to ask the old woman. So that is what happens also. Yes.
Okay, thank you. La question, oui.
Hello. Je m'excuse, je suis venue avec un grand retard. Je suis de l'ONG Écologie Plus à Lubumbashi. Je n'ai pas tout suivi, mais j'ai une préoccupation, si c'est une question peut-être. Je voudrais un peu savoir, puisque vous parlez de savoirs locaux au service de la gestion durable des forêts, je voudrais un peu savoir quels sont les grands facteurs ou bien les principaux facteurs d'affaiblissement de cette conservation ou bien de la gestion durable des forêts. Merci.
Okay.
No, I had just a contribution to make. So I'm Dr. Lamfu, working with Greenpeace Africa. So I'm the campaigner for forests. So I just want to appreciate some of the concerns you've actually made mention when it comes to, the role of indigenous knowledge on forest management. I feel that little or nothing is done at that level, in the sense that there are a whole lot of knowledge that can be harnessed, from these indigenous people. I've actually worked with a couple of them within the Congo Basin for the past 15 years. So I think the very first thing in harnessing their knowledge, we need to understand what this knowledge is really all about. I really resonate with her when she was giving an example from Ghana. So I think that the very first thing is, yes, we need to identify the different strategies which we can actually put after we must have known what this knowledge is all about in the preservation of the forest. After which, a lot of things can really be put in place. I remember you made mention about the Bantus and the Bakas or the Bagilis. Of course, the Baka and the Bagili will never speak in the presence of Bantu. Yeah. This is something which is very, very normal. And this, again, actually hides a whole lot of knowledge which they actually have concerning the forest to actually put it out. So which are the strategies we are actually putting forth just so that this indigenous knowledge can really be portrayed, and such that the policies, that are actually being instituted, the national and international forums that are actually coming up, what are we going to put in place to make sure that this indigenous knowledge are harnessed and actually practicalized? Yeah, I just wanted to make the contribution. Thank you.
Okay. I suggest you, merci to, if you have something about the input or the comment of our colleague to edit, and Professor Alphonse to give answer at her question, and that will allow us to close our side event.
Of course, his was a comment, just buttressing what we have said, and then also sharing some lessons, which we align with very much. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, it's actually, I appreciate his comments because we are actually, we are really in line with what he says. We need to recognize, that's what we were saying, we need to recognize. We should not make a kind of a delusion of saying traditional knowledge should be put under the scientific knowledge. We need to make them talk as equal source of knowledge, and then we can actually benefit from both traditional and scientific knowledge. It's very important for me. It's key. So this kind of dialogue between sources of knowledge, because they don't have the same epistemology. But first we need to sit together and try to make a kind of a common epistemology that would allow sharing knowledge between between both sciences. Because for me they are science. So the question now from the lady is about the factors that weaken the traditional knowledge. That's a question. So, pour moi, les principaux facteurs d'affaissement de connaissances traditionnelles, il y a d'abord les religions à prétention universelle qui sont venues. Et ces religions ont une vision de prétention de disqualifier les autres visions du monde. Donc que ce soit le christianisme ou l'islam, ils viennent pour disqualifier les autres en disant que ce sont des connaissances qui sont diaboliques, qui sont sataniques, qui ne veulent rien, qui vous éloignent de Dieu. Et donc ils prennent le monopole. Et ça, c'est le premier facteur. Et donc, les gens commencent à négliger. Quand on adhère au christianisme, on commence à penser que ces connaissances-là de nos ancêtres, bon, c'est mauvais, tout ça. Deuxièmement, il y a la science. Et donc, la science qui a la prétention du monopole de la vérité. Et donc, de ce fait, toute autre source de connaissance qui n'obéit pas à son épistémologie est disqualifiée on prend ça avec mépris et dédain et on dit non, ce n'est pas du tout une connaissance, c'est du n'importe quoi, c'est sociologie spontanée, des choses comme ça. Donc, c'est du savoir commun. Et donc, on disqualifie ces connaissances. Et donc, quand nous, on va à l'école, on dit non, les savants ont dit. Les savants ont parlé. Et donc, quand un vieillard vous partage sa connaissance, reculer, ce n'est pas de la connaissance, ça c'est chose. Et donc, la science est assez pénible. Or, la science, comme les autres disciplines, comme la mythologie, l'astrologie, tout ça, sont aussi des sources de connaissances et qui peuvent avoir des vérités, et donc qui doivent être mis sur le même pied d'égalité. Ça nous amène à des savoirs, et donc il faut les accepter en tant que tels, même s'ils ne répondent pas aux mêmes épistémologies que la science moderne. Alors, il y a aussi un autre facteur, c'est les facteurs de la... c'est ce qui fait donc l'éducation moderne que nous avons dans nos écoles, qui est occidentalisante en fait, et qui vient pour remettre en cause nos savoirs ancestraux, pour dire non, ce n'est pas bon, il faut se comporter comme les Occidentaux. Et même à notre habillement, notre alimentation, et celui qui s'habille ou qui se comporte ou qui parle comme un Occidental, et même la langue d'ailleurs, et donc il est considéré comme étant la personne la mieux avancée, la mieux évoluée. Et donc ça contribue à dévaluer un peu tous ces savoirs-là. Mais il y a aussi les mixages culturels. Parce que ce qui faisait la force de ces savoirs traditionnels, c'est l'homogénéité culturelle. Vous partagez la même culture, les mêmes valeurs, les mêmes normes. Mais à partir du moment où vous avez un Luba qui vient rencontrer un Mukongo, où vous avez un Ashanti qui vient rencontrer un Ibo, tout ça, et donc ils ne partagent pas. Et ce qui est interdit ici, qui a une valeur là-bas, n'a pas de valeur ici. Et donc, du coup, vous faites ce que vous avez l'habitude de faire chez vous, alors qu'on a interdit de manger les champignons ici, mais là-bas, on mange ça, ça ne fait rien. On dit, oh, donc on nous mentait. Donc, vous voyez, c'est ce genre de choses qui contribuent à affaiblir ces savoirs-là. Et je pense également, un autre facteur qui affaiblit ces savoirs, c'est l'urbanisation. Et donc, en tant que site de croisement culturel, de rencontres avec des besoins nouveaux, on a beaucoup de populations, une grande concentration avec des besoins immenses et qui conduit à même dans une ville homogène, comme par exemple Butembo en RDC, presque homogène, monoculturel, on ne respecte plus les traditions, parce qu'on a d'autres modes de vie à faire, on a d'autres besoins à satisfaire, on a donc une nouvelle vision, marchandisation, tout ça, et qui rentre dans cette urbanisation et qui contribue donc à l'affaissement. Grosso modo, donc on peut continuer après, mais en résumé, quelques grands facteurs de choses. I just resume what we were talking about earlier, about the factors that contribute to reduce the challenges about the traditional knowledge. Yeah.
Ok. La dernière question. On est au-delà du temps. Ok, allez-y.
Merci aussi. Je suis aussi de l'écologie plus.
Ok, merci.
Je voudrais savoir, parce que je trouve que c'est intéressant pour vraiment conserver nos forêts durablement, mais quelles sont vraiment les grandes stratégies qu'il nous faut pour les conserver? Parce que maintenant, il y a ce que vous venez de nous dire ici, par rapport au conflit, je peux dire que c'est un conflit de connaissances universelles modernes aujourd'hui, scientifiques, avec les connaissances aussi traditionnelles. Parce qu'il ne faut pas oublier aussi que du côté traditionnel, il y a aussi d'autres connaissances qui ne vont pas dans le sens de la protection directe des forêts. Parce que certaines croyances aujourd'hui traditionnelles, les forêts sont en train d'être en voie de disparition presque, avec tout ce qui est la biodiversité qui sont en train de partir. Là où il y avait des chenilles, comme le prof l'a dit, aujourd'hui, les chenilles n'y sont plus. Moi, là où je viens, une chenille qui a existé, qui a fait même le nom de cette province, aujourd'hui, cette chenille est en train de disparaître. Elle est devenue très rare. Pourquoi? Parce que tous les arbres sont en train d'être décimés pour raison de braise. Mais quelles sont les grandes stratégies que nous pouvons vraiment aujourd'hui appliquer dans nos milieux pour conserver durablement ces forêts et ce qui sont dans les milieux traditionnels?
Okay.
No, so I can summarize it. His question is, now we know the challenges that traditional knowledge is facing, and we know the value of traditional knowledge in preserving forests and biodiversity. So what should be the strategies to better manage forests, protect forests and biodiversity, considering these challenges? Because we see that forest is disappearing, and we need to develop new strategies based on traditional knowledge and the modern one, which is coming in place also.
Okay, so I think one of the things that we said earlier was that there is the need for the mix. So a mix of traditional and then also scientific knowledge is always very rich. They have their own ways of conserving. And as I said, this has proven very successful in many situations. So when we back that with what we know, that has also been proven with evidence, and then also from the labs, and then also from all the research, and then we practice all of them together, especially the ones that are not conflicting. So we look at the ones that are complementary, the ones that are harmonized, the ones that are aligned with each other, and then we put all of them in place. I believe that when we have that mix, it will lead us to conserve our forests. Because when we don't add the traditional knowledge to the scientific, I think one of the things that in Ghana, the local communities will always tell us is that you people, you are in the city. You people, you are in the city, and then you come and tell us what we should do, and then you go. But we are sitting with the forest. We know the forest better than you. We are the ones who have taken care of the forest until now. So what are they telling us? They have been very good stewards of the forest. We are bringing new ideas. We only visit there for a while and then we leave. So when they mix what we have said, or the new thoughts from our science and then also from our labs, and they mix that with the scientific, then it's going to yield a very good result, and it will go in a far way to help us to sustainably manage our forests and natural resources, and then also conserve our biodiversity.
Ok, et comme on est déjà largement au-delà du temps, est-ce que vous pouvez lui donner donc un résumé dans 1 minute? Comme ça,
Bon, je crois que merci a bien résumé. Ouais. C'est-à-dire que la stratégie principale doit être de combiner ces différentes sources de savoir, et en particulier les savoirs qui sont complémentaires et qui peuvent nous permettre de mieux conserver. Et donc on peut essayer d'identifier dans les savoirs endogènes et dans les savoirs modernes qu'est-ce qui peut être complémentaire pour nous permettre de mieux préserver nos forêts. Alors maintenant encore, si l'on veut faire ce mix, cette combinaison des savoirs endogènes et des savoirs scientifiques, hein, donc intégrer ces deux connaissances, il nous faudrait au départ, comme je l'ai dit, il faut d'abord qu'on reconnaisse en particulier les scientifiques, hein, parce que c'est eux surtout qui contestent la validité des connaissances traditionnelles. Et donc, il faut d'abord qu'il y ait une reconnaissance de ces savoirs en tant que source authentique, valide de connaissances. Alors seulement devient possible de partenariats, de discussions, des échanges, des dialogues et des coopérations entre ces différents savoirs au service de la préservation et de la conservation des forêts. Voilà, okay. C'est ce que je pourrais...
Ok, merci beaucoup, vraiment, thank you so much. Est-ce qu'on peut applaudir pour nous-mêmes? D'accord. Ok, thanks a lot. Perhaps I can ask you to pass here for the group photo. Thank you.